Terence Crawford says weight doesn't matter. He wants Canelo, but has unfinished business with Errol Spence Jr. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red. But let's talk about it. Alright, so Terence Bud Crawford recently gave an interview, and in that interview he spoke about moving up in weight, spoke about who he wants to fight if he moves further up in weight, and I wanted to give my 174 nickels on what Bud had to say and break it down for whoever listening.
Yeah, if he win, or Charlo, I want to be 3-time undisputed.
Alright, y'all. So Bud basically said that he wants to fight Canelo. He said he wants to be undisputed in 3 different weight classes, which would make him one of the most spectacular boxers in boxing history. You know, that would be one of those feats close to what Manny Pacquiao achieved with the 8 divisions. You know, I still think that the 8 divisions would supersede that 3 undisputed, because I don't think anybody's ever going to break that 8 divisions ever in life.
Now just where the hell you think you going?
I don't think that's ever getting broken. Now, there's a possibility somebody could become 3-time or 4-time undisputed, the same way that Terence Crawford is shooting for 3-time or 4-time undisputed. But I don't think anybody's ever going to break that 8 divisions. But, you know, here's the thing about what Terence Crawford is saying about fighting Canelo. Number one, you still got business to handle with Errol Spence. Contractual business to handle with Errol Spence. And we all can see that there's a narrative being pushed to try to stop the rematch.
Kiss my ass, sugar. I want to know what it is Quick is trying to say.
Because I think the people behind the scenes know what Spence had to go through to try to make 147. I think the people behind the scenes know that it's going to be a different fight in the rematch. I think the people behind the scenes know that if Terence Crawford loses to Errol Spence, all this fantasy talk of Charlo fights and Canelo fights all goes away.
You shut the fuck up. I would tell you to kiss my ass too, but you probably can't find it, you blind motherfucker.
And he has more unfinished business with Errol Spence Jr., which could take completely away from the Bud hype train. Now, I'm not saying that he's not going to finish Errol Spence off. Might happen. I'm saying give Errol Spence his just due, the way he waited around for a full 5 years, basically, to make the Terence Crawford fight.
He's okay, man. Things happen. Everybody wants to win all the time. Some days not today, and then one is day. Different situations, different way, everything. So yeah, I think my guy's a better fighter. Bad day, bad day.
So, number one, you got the unfinished business with Errol Spence Jr. Number two, you know, here's the funny thing about Bud, man. I think Bud is one of those guys who, I won't call him a spoiled, you know, boxing great, you know, but he kind of acts like a spoiled boxing great. Because if we go back just to last year, let's remember back, let's rewind back in our brains. What was Terence Crawford saying? What was his first excuse for why he didn't want to take the Errol Spence fight last summer?
We're going to talk about Terence Crawford decided to fight somebody we don't know. Once again, Errol Spence said, after I get these belts, we're going to see who actually holding up the fight. And all these guys believing that what Terence Crawford said, when he been lying, him and his team been lying for years. Crawford wanted to tune, he could have just said that.
Does anybody remember? Nobody remembers? Okay, so if you remember back, he said, okay, I just fought Sean Porter, but that was like 8 months prior. Might have been 9 months prior. And he was saying, I need a tune-up. I need to make sure my body's in shape. I need to make sure I'm at weight. I need to make sure I'm on point for the Errol Spence fight. I got to be the best version of myself. But fast forward a year. Woo, now we're a year into the future. Just beat Errol Spence. And somehow tune-ups don't matter. Weight don't matter. It doesn't matter at this point. He feels like he can just go straight into this thing. But just a year ago, you couldn't go straight into the Errol Spence fight, even though you had been at 147 for like, what, 3-4 years already? So it wasn't like you couldn't make the weight. It wasn't like you didn't just have a Sean Porter fight. It wasn't like you wasn't active at 147. You've never fought at 154. You've never fought at 160. But you want to move all the way up to 168 without a tune-up, without, testing the weight, without any of this stuff. But just last year, you were saying that was a definite, that was a must, that was a must-have. You're trying to force me into fighting Errol Spence, and I'm not prepared.
Me and you got to step out back.
It really doesn't make any sense. It's almost like he's still trying to cash out of the sport. And wherever the biggest fight he can get, he'll go take it because there's going to be a lot of money attached to it. And even if he loses, well, he got the biggest paydays of his boxing career, so losing really doesn't matter. And I almost feel the same way about Errol Spence. I don't think he cares that he lost and that he lost those titles. Just listen to what he was saying before the fight. The sanctioning bodies were already ripping him off. 3%, 3%, 3%. So they're taking 9% of his fights, basically. So I would have gave up them belts too.
No, it ain't. It ain't no misunderstanding. Quick just accused me of stealing. And if you gonna take up for Quick in here, we can all be some fighting motherfuckers in here this evening. Bring your ass, nigga.
To be completely honest with you, and I think now that Terence Crawford has those belts, I don't think he cares about those belts. I think that's the reason why he's so adamant about getting the Charlo fight. I think that's the reason why he's so adamant about fighting a guy like Canelo, who's like 4 weight classes up from where he's at the moment. And he's not whining like he was last year about a tune-up and weight now. Now all of a sudden none of that matters. Now all of a sudden it's just about the principle of a fight. This is why I can't rock with Terence Crawford. Because he says one thing, and then as soon as he gets his way, he says something completely different. I peeped this a long time ago about Terence Crawford. This is the reason I really don't rock with Terence Crawford. Great fighter, but you can't take him at face value.
Everybody in the family hated this motherfucker.
Errol Spence, although, waited around a full year, almost a year and a half, to make a fight simply because he wanted to stand on his word. That's a man of his word. That's a man of integrity. I can rock with that. I can't rock with a guy like Terence Crawford because, once again, you said last year that fighters shouldn't have to do that. Fighters should be able to get tune-ups. Fighters going into the biggest fights of their career should have to test the weight, test the water, give me a chance to warm up. All this BS that you were pitching at people last year, now that you beat Errol Spence, you're not only trying to dodge the rematch, but now you're trying to make up new things that you weren't saying last year when it comes to fighting a Charlo or fighting a Canelo, which doesn't even make sense at this point. Don't you need a tune-up now, bud, if you're going to fight Canelo? Don't you need to make sure you're at weight now if you're going to fight Canelo, because you were saying all this last year, man. This is the funny thing about boxing, and I'm going to end it here. Boxing and boxing fans, they're all very fickle, and they're all it's all about me. And as soon as something works out in your favor, then all of that changes because you're trying to now get an even bigger fight especially when you beat somebody and go chase a bigger bag of money. So these people will say and do anything for money. It's almost laughable, but if I didn't love boxing so much, I would laugh. But since I love boxing the way I love boxing, I'm just appalled when I hear people say stuff like this. And once again, this is the reason I can't rock with Terence Bud Crawford.
Kick his ass right up here right now. You done insulted me, and I got to kick your ass right now. What the fuck is wrong with you? You done accused me of stealing. The only thing I'm stealing out here today is your face. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, sucker. Let's get it on.
You'll say goodnight to this bitch right now.
Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tubes, so holler at me over there. You want to collabo, feature a product or your channel on my channel, then hit my Gmail, because it is a flock of cards at Gmail. And we are mine.
Yeah. It's Louis Keys and the Her Man, pulling up to the spot in the Her van. Looking for a bad chick that ain't scared to dance. Get her so wet that she need a new pair of pants. She's soggy, only player in the club sipping on sake. Eyes looking like he missed the Miyagi. Blowing on bomb trees, flowing on South Beach. How you gonna stop me? It's not an option, I'ma get it poppin'. You can take her shopping, she still let me knocked in. She know I'm just trying to win. She ain't trying to bend, I ain't trying to spin. If she tell a player no, I ain't trying again. I'ma just move on and I'm trying to friend. It's your boy Louis Keys, I'm a shit starter. Young player with a hop like Vince Carter.
Niggas always wanna steal my hop, cause they like my style, wanna steal my hop. Hey, even though them niggas still gon' flop, they can jock my swag, cause it's still my hop. Hey, ain't nobody got a hop like me, ain't nobody make the whole world bop like me. Hey, my wrist word make them stop like freeze, got people overseas tryna hop like me. Hey, I ain't even done yet, new single off the chain, it ain't even done yet. I'm no lie, been there and done that, hot boy in the sky, catch me where the sun at. My hood hops like whoa, sleeves stay pop so my wrist wear show. I sip crisp, piss smoke, got jury in my mouth so my spit might glow. They don't want it, what you do, and I'm a backyard pimp, plus my hops too smooth. Mic check 1, 2, gotta turn my mic up, cause the boy too cool. Better get your hop right, Mr. Rainbow Bright, switch color stoplight. Ride it like a motorbike, but you can't get a pipe if your hop ain't tight. Niggas always wanna steal my hop, cause they like my style, wanna steal my hop. Hey, even though them niggas still gon' flop, they can jock my swag, cause it's still my hop. Hey, ain't nobody got a hop like me, ain't nobody make the whole world bop like me. Hey, my wrist word make them stop like freeze, got people overseas tryna hop like me. Hey.